In this tutorial, we'll see how to display variables as gauges and how to create an inventory for the player. I open a scene. I go to a step and I add a variable component. By default, the variable is shown with its icon and value. I change which variable is displayed. I select the friendship variable. You can change the position of the component. You can show or hide the icon. You can display it as a gauge. And you can set the maximum value of the gauge. Just like dialog boxes, you can customize its look by clicking the Style field. You can change the image, the color, the size. That's it for customization. If I move on to the next step, the component doesn't show because the step was already created. So here's my advice. Always add the gauge at the very first step of your scene. That way, you don't have to insert it manually in every step. Since I didn't do that, I'll need to add the gauge to the other steps. Let's do that quickly. I'll fast forward, it's very repetitive. Now let's test the result. I select a block and start the test. You can see variable values using the debugger component. The friendship value starts at 5. I move forward in the story. The gauge appears, showing 5 out of 10. The player makes a choice, and the friendship variable goes up to 7. The story continues. I choose to go to the rooftop. Since the variable is above 5, the player is directed to the scene with Lana. Now you know how to use variables and how to display them. Next, I'll customize the game interface to show the friendship variable. I click the packaging icon. We see a preview of the game's homepage. I can customize it by clicking the Home tab. I can change the background image, add music, and adjust the buttons and illustrations. And I can edit the game menu by clicking the Menu tab. I can change the background, the buttons, and add components. I'll add a variable component to display a variable. This lets you create a screen with your character's stats. I can customize the font. I can change how it's displayed. It's also possible to add an inventory component. The inventory uses variables as items. For this example, I'll need more variables. So I go back to the story tree. I create variables with icons shaped like objects. Now that I have enough, I return to the menu editor. I select the inventory. I can change its size. To set which variables appear in the inventory, I use the inventory table. I add variables with the plus button. Whenever a variable's value is greater than 0, it will automatically appear in the inventory. For example, money is 0. It doesn't show. Apple is 0, it doesn't show. Key is 1, it appears. Phone is 1, it appears too. Let's do a quick demo. I'll create a playable level. To unlock playable zones, I first need a playable character. So I go to the map editor. I quickly create a playable level. I save it. Back in the story tree, I add a playable zone block. I open the block. I select the map I just made. I add an entry and an exit. And I place a variable item on the ground. When the player picks it up, it adds +1 to the linked variable. This is another way to change variable values. Of course, you can still use modifier blocks in the story tree as well. I save and run the demo. I'm now in the game. If I open the menu, you'll see there are no apples in the inventory. The player picks up the apple variable. Now in the menu, we see 1 apple in the inventory. I pick up more apples. And the number increases in the inventory. That's the end of this tutorial. Now you know how to use variables in your visual novel.